maybe that was like a 70-minute countdown, 70 seconds. Anyways, hey, everybody, welcome. It's Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening on the East Coast. I've got some of the cast members of the new audio soap opera Monteceto, who you all know from their other television and soap opera roles, along with the series creator, Grant Rutter. And we're here to talk about the new show, which is very exciting. Full disclosure, Grant and I worked together for over a year, would you say? We created the Inside Salem Days of Our Lives podcast together, which I hosted, and him and I worked on it. So that is how I met Grant. So when he came into this new project, I thought, well, this is great. Let me throw my support behind this because I know how hardworking he is. Crystal Chappell is here.
Hey, whoop, whoop.
Peter Day is here. And Marc Anthony Samuel. So good to see you.
Hello.
I've known you for a while. And Grant Rutter is here. So yeah. So guys, like first, I guess I want to ask Crystal, what drew you to this project and why did you decide to do the audio soap? And what is it like for you just hearing your voice and having to do the takes and all of that?
Well, we met through a mutual friend, and I just love the whole concept of taking drama back to radio. There's something, and people love audiobooks, and just taking soaps back to its roots. So to me, that was kind of a passion project because, you know, what Grant did and pulling this all together and writing it in such a way that's not TV formatted. It's written for, I think, the vocal, the voice work. And it's kind of a nostalgic experience. So that's what drew me to it. And I think that Grant and everyone did just wonderful job pulling it together.
Okay. When Grant previewed it for me, I was so happy. The sound of it is so fantastic. And you guys know, a lot of people do audio shows and these things still days, and they just don't have that sound. This just has such like an intense big sound like to it. Peter, well, I know kind of how you came into it, but why did you decide to do the
Honestly, I didn't. I just found this out right now that the two of you worked on Beyond Salem. So that's news to me.
No, not Beyond Salem. We had an Inside Salem podcast. It was before
you. Gotcha. Yeah. I see. Okay.
I forgot about Beyond Salem.
In that case.
Yeah.
I think Grant reached out and I skimmed through the email. I'm like, Montecito? Yeah, I'd love to work in Montecito. Sure, absolutely. And I signed up. Maybe it went a little bit like that. No, I thought it was a very clever idea. I almost exclusively listen to books. I barely read anymore because I've got a dog and a long commute to work. And I thought, what a cool idea to take this medium, like Crystal mentioned, and bring it to old-fashioned radio hour. And as you said, the sound that we accomplished, that Grant accomplished, is so impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm working off of this. You can barely hear me now. I got to go like this. So imagine during all of these takes, I was just using like a little Yeti, and we were all having technical issues, and you were so patient with us. Grant was so kind working with us to get the sound correct, but the richness that was accomplished was very impressive. So well done on that, Grant.
Yeah, it's like expansive is the word I was looking for, like sound. Mark, how did you come into it and why did you decide to do Monteceto?
Oh, for me, Grant reached out to my team and I loved the idea and tagging on to what Crystal said and what Peter said, the whole idea of being part of the radio experience. There's something about when you allow the audience to participate mentally in something, it creates bigger pictures. The drama's more profound. Everything that's happening is also being contributed to by the oral AURAL experience of the audience. And it makes it just that much more exciting. And for me, I'm always about just being part of the story, and with lack of a better, more refined way of putting it, I just like using the rooter to the tutor in this medium, like in all these different mediums. If it's going to be through voice, I'll use that. If it's on camera, I'll use that. If I'm drawing a picture, give me 3 tennis balls, I'll juggle. I just dig it. So it's nice to be part of the story.
So Grant, when you started putting this all together, did you have a wish list of your cast? Or were you, when you thought
We were
of
all first picks.
Yeah, no, how many of us were on that?
No, honestly, it was. Did put together a list of who would be right for these roles. I didn't write any. Andrew Pemberton Fowler, who's the executive story editor, and myself, we didn't write any of these roles for anyone specifically. This is long written, long story, all this. So it really came down to who was right. Obviously, being a lifelong viewer of daytime, I familiar with a lot of the voices and wanted to work almost exclusively with daytime actors. So narrowed it down, put together a list. Obviously with I wanted for gay actors to play gay roles. I wanted to have diversity. I wanted to hear different ages, and obviously everyone had to sound different too. A lot of times in audio, male voices can sound very similar, so it was really important to have a range with all that. But really it just came down to who was right. And I'll be honest, I didn't have to go out to dozens of people. There was a lot of interest, and I'm really happy with everyone that came on. It was all the right folks for sure.
So Crystal's okay in her role?
Crystal is the Helena, the leading grand dame of Montecito.
Right. So talk to me about Helena, Crystal. She is like, do you play her? Like, do you inflect the voice? And did you do many takes? And what was the process of getting her down audio wise?
I think it just always starts with a script, and then you can, even when you're on camera, you imagine what a character will look like, right? You try to personify that. So with it being an audio experience, I played a character similar to this in Beacon Hill. This matriarch that was very tightly put together. The right pin, the right no hair out of place, everything was just perfect. So it was interesting to sit there and not be in hair and makeup and find that character, but it really was right there on the page. So she's this fiercely, loving mother to her son, and wants only the best for him, and is refined, but has no problem pulling out her claws if necessary. So I related to it. Right.
It was typecasting, is what you're saying?
Yes.
And Helena can go a little kind of far with the relationship with her son. She's a little involved, like these soap mothers. They're a little too much into the sex life. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Got to ask all the right questions.
So Peter, you play this role that you're gay in the show, but you're married to it's a complicated situation. Correct?
I guess. Yeah. Some would call that complicated. Yeah. What's your question?
I just, what was it like doing the part audio wise? Like when you were doing it, I heard Grant said that you guys saw each other in the,
yes. Yeah, it is. It was tricky. What I found most tricky about the recording is that we are playing in ballrooms. We're playing to stadiums. It opens with us, speaking to a massive crowd in front of the christening of the hotel. And so you have to manipulate your voice, although everything is happening right here, like we are right now, to fill that space. And then what was strangest to me unexpected was when Mark and I had some of our more intimate scenes. I thought I was being small, but you really have to get so tiny. For instance, when we first go back to the bungalow together and we kiss for the first time, it's just that was tricky and unexpected. Just the playing with volume.
And so what were you guys, so how did it work, Grant, when they were
similar to what we're doing right now?
This, right?
Yeah, we had a digital recording studio for audio, and we had the boxes, and then I would pop in and pop off, and I wanted them to be able to see one another and act. And I remember talking to Crystal about this. It's like doing scene work. We would go through the scene, and we would have our safety or a recorded rehearsal, and then we go through mostly 2 times each after that. It depends if we needed to get any pickups, but I really wanted to keep it moving, keep it quick, be respectful of everyone's time, but get enough takes to choose from. But it was important that they could interact with each other. lot of times you're alone, you're in a booth, you're reading through a set of lines, and you're out for the day. This was, a lot of scheduling and coordinating, but it had to be done this way. I wouldn't have done it any different.
Mark, do you think that really helped the process? Obviously different than other probably voiceover work.
Yeah, it's always better to, if you can, be in the same room or virtual space with the other actors with whom you're doing the work. Yes, and also tagging onto what Peter said, there's points at which when things are more intimate, there's a whole relationship to the microphone, how you speak.
Mm-hmm.
You almost have to kind of think about, wait a minute, just settle down, stay grounded, let it be real. But instead of with another person, you're relating to this microphone, but everything else is there, the emotion, the intent, whatever's happening inside of you, it'll, if you're honest here, it'll still come out on the microphone and the speakers.
Mm-hmm.
Grant, what did you think about Peter's performance and like how he fit the role that you envisioned?
Well,
nice.
Deacon's an intense character and not a very happy one. We had had some fun in our recording sessions because we had to try to like mix it up. I remember Peter, you're saying there's some sad breathy gaze or something like that. Yeah. No, I mean, but Peter had to take on this role, which wasn't the most pleasant. But obviously, there's an arc here, and there are different layers to this guy besides just being miserable. But we do meet him basically at his lowest, and I feel like Peter reflected the range of the character very well. There's a lot more to come with him. There's emotional scenes and some anger in there, and we see a different side to the character that came across really, really well.
We were very lucky because we received. It's rare in this medium to get direction, to get extensive direction, multiple takes. As we all know, soap moves very quickly. So I felt very lucky that we got some real attention, and I think it paid off.
Is there a favorite scene that we're going to hear that you had that we have not? It's not happened yet. We're in what, episode 3, and we have 10, right?
Yeah. I don't know. It's been a while for these guys. We recorded over a year ago. So,
I know. Who are you
asking? Yeah. But I mean, there's scenes in episode 10 that I don't want to really discuss, but I think there's it's worth hanging in because those scenes are by far the most intense, and there's an actual 10-minute long scene that we recorded in real time multiple times, and it basically lives as it was captured. It's a big one.
Man,
lots of twists and turns.
Lots of twists. Mark, what about you? What did you love about your character though on the show? I mean, isn't he the one that wants his guy back? Or
I mean, look, Gio
Carrera,
wants he definitely wants his life back, and he has some things he has to take care of, as is often the case in these dramas, little secrets and things like that. But ultimately, I found that I love Gio. I think he has a good head on his shoulders. I think he's a pretty righteous human being. He makes mistakes, but I think in comparison to some of the other stuff going on in this world with some of the other folks, he's a trustworthy guy, pretty much.
Crystal, through the season, we'll hear you in scenes with other people.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So who did you get to work with?
Well, certainly Peter and the young actress who plays Mina, who's lovely.
Chelsea Rendon.
And Vincent Irizarry, which I was trying to figure out if we'd actually ever worked together on camera. We used to live in the same neighborhood, so I feel like we have, but I don't think we have.
I don't think you have.
Before this. So yeah.
Right.
It was great fun. It's just really fun to work with new talented people, and we're all trying to figure this out, and doing it in a different way. So it was just really fun to do.
Everybody would come to you, Crystal, because you were kind of the entrepreneur, the first person that really did a digital streaming series with Venice and kind of broke new ground. So I love that you took part in this, because I know Grant's trying to break ground with this in a more in a bigger way, you know, in a more, I think, professional sounding way, which I think is great that you're involved in it, because you've seen, I'm sure, projects come and go and fail and not. And what do you think makes them successful? And what do you think makes the ones fail?
Boy, if I knew the answer to that.
I hear you.
Yeah, right. So no, I think it's a passion for the project. I mean, if anybody asks me, you know, what's the one thing I can do that is reliable, and I think it's just persevering. You believe in it, you keep going with it, and that's what Grant did. And see, I have no doubt. I don't know what your goal is, but I have no doubt you're going to get there. And it's the funny thing about doing new stuff like this and putting stuff on the internet. When I did, you have to grow this thing. You know, sometimes I tell people, you're not going to get next week's ratings and probably be super happy about it, but you know, in 7 months, you're gonna watch things grow if you just keep plugging and pushing it. And that's what we're all going to do. And
Right.
because
Grant,
we need to hear this. This is good story. It's just good story.
which is where this started. It's all about good story.
All
You
right.
have to have the story number one above all else, right? The story has to be there. And the story was there, obviously, with this.
Yeah.
Grant, was there a hardest part in writing this show?
I'll tell you what the hardest part is. The hardest part is what Crystal's talking about, building the audience. You know, you build it and they will come, but it takes a long time for them to come. And, you know, it's a new thing. And I'm basically having to retrain a lot of people who, you know, they don't know they're already doing this. They're listening to audiobooks, or they're listening to a commercial in their headphones at the gym. Like, people are consuming content through audio already, audiobooks, reading books. And so it's just trying to retrain folks that this is, you know, you can get into it, and you don't need to have visuals, and really trying to introduce people to the show brick by brick. And I've been a bit of a pest trying to get, you know, promotion and all this stuff. That's the hardest part, I think, because I have such an empty, it's just boundless of how much energy I can put into this to write it and produce it the right way and give notes and know when to, like I keep saying to Trey, who's done so much work in post-production on the show, when to put the paintbrush down. Because it's like constant. I mean, it's just so much other, especially in audio. I mean, you want to hear the footsteps trail behind your head. Okay, like that's one scene. You know, there's only so much that we can really put in before it has to be done. But I don't want to trail on too long either with answering this question. But the most difficult part is now what to do next and try to get the word out, because I'm very happy with the product.
Well, the funny thing, well, not funny, but I'm sure you know, like, I'll do an article about it, or I'll talk about it, or I'll promote it. And then on my different social channels, there'll be a comment and they'll go, great, where do I watch it? And I'm like, no. It's like, okay, great. Is this going to be a show? I'm like,
that's what you have to retrain.
No, it is a show. They're like,
Right.
well, is it going to be on TV? Right. So that's kind of the immediate response to, you know, just when somebody's not like really into the weeds and like reading an article or understanding it. That's where do I see it?
Well, I do want to mention there's a visual component for those watching this feed. There are licensed footage of looping shots of Montecito and Santa Barbara and leaves over water and all these things. So there is a visual component that was it needed to happen. You have to market this thing. You have to put it on social media. You have to get it out there. So we really needed something to be a video format feed, but giving you the idea that this is audio first.
Right. So with Peter and Mark's character, I mean, did you want, what was your, in terms of an LGBTQ slant in some of the story, did you have envisioned, like, this is how I wanted to lay it out with this complexity of the situation? Or
no, actually, it was originally the breakdown, a straight couple, your typical center soap opera super couple, and it had just been done so many times. And the whole idea, I kept saying I wanted to modernize the soap opera, I wanted to do something new with this genre and modernize the audio soap. So you know, it made more sense. And I sat with it for a while, for about like a couple months, and I looked at the show differently, and I said, I think I can do this, and it's not going to completely upset everything. And then I actually didn't want to go backwards, and I thought this is the right way to go with the same-sex couple. And why not tell this story while we went through, and there were a lot of changes that we made to slant it towards a relationship with two men, and we paid a lot of attention to dialogue with that. It's still a love triangle, the cornerstone of the genre. So why not make it something different? And to have a gay man married to a straight woman in a marriage of convenience in 2025 is a topic of discussion. So maybe it'll make some people curious. I certainly hope so.
Right. Mm-hmm. Bonnie is saying it's like reading book in multiple voices. Right?
That's
okay.
True.
Yeah. And then Candace says, I believe Gio will be okay, but I swear if something happens to him, I'm going to be mad. Also, I thought Vincent and Crystal worked together, but same shows, different times. I don't think
Kansas. I love Kansas. Thank you. I don't think so. I think Vincent even said he hasn't worked with you, Crystal.
No,
right?
he hasn't. I'm sure he has not.
I don't think we have.
I'm sure he has not. Alyssa is saying the show's off to a great start. Wonderful cast and storytelling.
Oh,
Christy reports, who you know, it must have been fun to play these dynamic characters. Did you have fun? Actors?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I had a great time.
You did?
Yeah, it was wonderful.
To hear it.
Do you do a lot of voiceover stuff anyways? I mean, Peter, you have such a great voice. So does Mark. So, you guys have such great speaking voices.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Mark, you do
I do
voice acting, right?
I do voice acting as well. Yeah.
That was an interesting point you made, Grant, about men's voices starting to sound alike.
Yeah.
How important it is to have a differentiation. Otherwise, with this, you don't see their faces. So you need to, click in to who you're talking to by the cadence and the tone of their voice. And I think Mark, such a beautiful voice.
Oh,
but it's hard for me. Go ahead. You were going to give me a compliment?
I was. Here it comes. You got that Mac Daddy voice. Listen to that. No.
Yes, he does. I agree. Yep.
Oh.
Yeah.
Crystal, your voice is beautiful too.
You have a nice voice.
No, these two, Peter and Mark, they had a lot of scenes, one-on-one scenes, and I mean, there's no problem differentiating the two, and I mean, they just complement each other so well. We had to do very little because these are pros, so we didn't, timing and pacing is everything in soap opera, and because these folks and the others who aren't on this call have been in daytime, they know the right pace of these scenes. So while there was a lot that went into editing, the pacing was not an issue. It's super important that it went a certain way because that's what the listener is used to hearing in these scenes.
Crystal, you've done several soap operas and stuff, and then you had this role. Did you model her after anybody specific?
Well, again, it's just that I did a character in Beacon Hill where I played this matriarch, and it was Hillary Smith, in fact, it's a world that I'm not familiar with, and so she grew up with a mother like that, not like Helena necessarily, but in a world of privilege, and so she brought in all of her mother's clothes, dressed me up in Beacon Hill, and I really just went back to that because there's something very similar and satisfying about playing that kind of role. You can kind of be bitchy, but not be bitchy, and you can get away with a lot. The character gets away, even her inappropriate relationship with her son.
A classic soap cornerstone once again.
In your soap opera roles, when you had to so this must be so much easier because you don't have to go on camera and get dolled up and made up. You just sit there and it's easier, isn't it? Or not as easy to do it audio wise?
I don't think it was harder.
One or the other. Yeah.
Right.
I don't think it was harder. I think, like I said, it was all about working off of the actors and respecting the script, just finding that good old soapy goodness. It's, we've all had some experience with it. So it was easy to kind of dig into that. It was very satisfying.
You've all played gay characters on daytime soap operas or some amalgamation of it. Do you think the representation now of LGBTQ stories and characters is different than, would you say, when you started? Obviously it's different, but there's still ways to go. Like, how do you feel about how the representation is? Mark, what do you think?
I think it's different. I think when I was doing General Hospital, they actually made, I mean, the fact that I was the first out Black gay character on a soap opera for General Hospital was made to be a big deal. Now, while that, in my opinion, is trailing real life by quite a bit for daytime television, for that particular show, it was a big deal. I don't think the work is done. I would love to see a world where you see same gender couples without blinking an eye, without it having to be the center of the story. It's like, they're gay, and okay, what else are you? What else are you? Well, gay and Black. Okay, cool. What else are you? You know, do you have your own storylines? Are you just a centerpiece through which all other stories just kind of touch base, and then there's nothing about your life? You know, they have a long way to go in that respect. So I think, and I wish them luck. I hope they do. I hope they can get to that point. Primetime's been doing it forever. Real life has been doing it forever. So I think daytime could fit it in a little bit.
Peter, you know, when you came to Days of Our Lives, we know that you did. We played Ricky on YNR. That was the whole other psycho situation. But when you came to Days, you were a bad guy. You were a bad guy, and it was nice to see bad gay guys on soap operas, because they always were sanctimonious and saintly, and it drove me nuts, because that's not how people are. Certainly a lot of gay people I know. Well, seriously, and to see these gay characters just watered down in sanctity, that they do no wrong, they never do anything mean, was always bugged me for years. You came along with Rick Art. I mean, and it just changed that, at least in soap operas, I'm saying, not obviously in prime time and all that, but you know what I'm saying? Do you felt like you
totally
changed?
Absolutely, yeah. I think that with Dimitri, being gay is the least interesting thing about him,
right?
And I think that that is a reflection of our time. But yeah, I agree. I mean, it's only been recently. I mean, I'm 41, but it's only been recently that I've been playing gay characters, which is really fun. But yeah, luckily they've taken a very positive turn in the way that we're being represented, which is very real and sometimes ugly. And that's great, because if they get to, all the straight guys get to play villains, I want to play one too.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And there's nothing I'll ever forget. It's dealt in my mind with Crystal years ago in the Natalia story, in the Otalia storyline. I just remember us all talking, and it was like, remember you had to kiss her on the forehead, or there was the knuckles met, and we were just laughing but frustrated about it. It was, you were right. Like, what was it like back then, looking back on that now?
I think certainly the networks have made some strides, but I agree with Peter and Mark that we've got a long way to go. There's some inherent fear. I'm not sure what. I don't want to put a label on it, but there's something stopping daytime from pushing it a little further. It seems that just my opinion with gay characters, the pendulum swings in such extreme ways, as opposed to what these guys are talking about, which is there's so much more to the character than being gay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, but that was, I mean, we literally couldn't. We've touched each other. It was like, ooh, and it was a love story. This was actually a love story.
But, a love story. Yeah. They had to knuckle touch. Like that was
Crystal, I just remember you in that little small like farmhouse with the staircase,
Yeah.
trying to like move around each other, like just about.
It was very narrow. Yeah.
Oh,
So it's just
yeah.
like,
But there was so much press, remember, Crystal, just about the knuckles and the kiss and are they and it was so like it was yeah.
well, that was the controversy, right? Isn't that was the focus of the press, was the controversy? I think, I mean, I think the story really rose up because it was different. But still there was something about, I don't know, maybe I just talked too much. It was very frustrating. So maybe it was the controversy that you're trying to sell something and it's just so unfinished in how it was portrayed. So that's why Venice happened. But yeah, I mean, we can do so much better.
That's it. We can do so much better. And I always get, as somebody that's, covering this for 40 years now, some of the daytime soaps just at times feel very antiquated and they just aren't moving it. And they don't really grow their audiences. They will hold on to them in a steady way, but there's really no growth. And they're playing it safe to keep the audience that they have because, so there just feels like a lot of nothing really shakes it up in a big way. And I don't know if we'll ever see it. I don't know. I kind of feel like you guys about it. Grant, what do you think?
I don't know. I don't see much changing because I see a lot of the same. How can I put this politically? I see a lot of the same folks in the same positions that were making decisions then that are making decisions now. So don't know how that changes. Hopefully it does. But I do want to, Crystal mentioned that out of the Otalia storyline came Venice. And then that shows that web series were hot. I mean, it was like, that was the thing. And it showed that it can be done and it can be made. And it gave me the not to bring it back to the show or myself, but it gave me the foundation and showed like there was an audience there. This can be done. And, you're going to make your own door. You're going to make your own door and walk through it. And by seeing that and seeing the success that Crystal has had, an open book and everything that she's created since, it's like, well, why can't I do it? And that kind of fueled me to carry through this with a show.
Which is so admirable and great. Like that's the way to approach it, right?
I just to give you a little marketing, what I learned, and I think it took me 5 years before I figured it out. I put season 1 and 2 for free on YouTube, right? Yeah. And I would get all this wonderful feedback. But what I eventually started seeing was, it's too bad you're not making it anymore. And at this point, I think I had already made 2 more seasons. And I was going, So I realized I had to push and change and get put out there that, yes, now we put a link on the YouTube to go shoot it over here. Like we just linked everything up because for like 2 years, nobody knew I'd made anything else. It really just is out of sight, out of mind. And so you just have to keep throwing it, keep getting it out there. It's going to happen, but it's just, that was something that really stumped me for like, okay.
Yeah, I believe in the audience. I mean, there's a soap opera in the UK that the BBC puts out. It gets 5 million an episode. I mean, there's an audience here. It's just finding them and training them to accept that there's another way to listen to story.
Mm-hmm. Right, and each episode is about 20 minutes, Grant? Is
correct? Yeah, it's like the sweet spot for something like this.
Right.
Too many shows that are too long, and anything less, you can't really tell the story that needs to be told.
Right. Have any of your friends heard this, Peter, Mark, Crystal, or you haven't shared it with them, or has anyone heard?
I've shared it with friends. I've let them know what's going on.
And what do they say?
Oh, they're always down to support. So it's but it's a matter of the people who aren't my friends. You want people to be curious, and I guess it all comes down to there's not just it's not just the product being good. It's teasing the people enough in a way that makes them go, wait, what is that? And sometimes it has to be more tantalizing. Sometimes you don't want to show them everything. Sometimes you want to, sometimes if you look at movie trailers, they just completely mislead you as to what the movie's about, but it works, you just have to, you got to get them in the door.
And so far, so good, right? I mean, the ratings have been
Yeah.
very positive. What was we posted something recently about it on podcasts, the fictional podcast. It was like
Apple Podcasts had made it into I think it was 5 or 6 for immersive audio fiction. So
Yeah,
that's what
that's
this is. That's
fantastic.
where we want to be. So
That's what's up.
yeah. So
That-
it really, I mean, you know, you're fighting an algorithm no matter what you're doing. It's on YouTube. It's on Facebook because there's a large audience that consumes this kind of content on Facebook. And then it's on the podcast app. So if you listen on the podcast app, then it gets on the charts. But if you get into the YouTube algorithm, then it serves more content and it finds that audience, like your audience, Michael. You know, so it's like there's no one that's better than the other. It's all engagement. And it's this just to put a period on this. This is an independent series, right? So there's no Paramount Plus funding huge money behind this thing. So it's really like an experiment to see how far is our reach and the collective reach of the community to discover the show. And so far, so good. So I'm encouraged. I just want to see how far we can take it, obviously. So I want to keep doing it. That's the goal, right?
So your goal, you did a 10 episode. Your goal would be to see how this plays and then decide if you would continue it. So so these characters are still on the show after 10
Oh yeah, there's plenty of unanswered questions, but
Okay,
it is still satisfying. Yes. It's like any soap. You know, you're not going to tie everything up. Come on.
No, but everyone's still alive, so you could bring this group back.
Don't tell him.
Don't tell him.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. You have to listen to the end, all the way till the end of episode 10. That's
Peter.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. How did you come up with the fictitious names of the characters, Grant? There's some good ones. Deacon.
Oh God.
That's what I was going to ask him. Where did Bethany Gina come from?
Bethany Gina.
Bethany Gina.
Bethany Gina Roman Quinn, a true soap name. No, it goes back to like the early 90s names, you know, like Alan Michael Spalding and all these big long names. And I don't know, there's something about it. And then her brother is just JJ, just like the short, you know. In my mind, her mother is this great Southern belle, and that's coming from the Southern roots of having the two names. You know, it's like, you know, they have like Sarah Joy or whatever. You know what I mean? Like there's like the two names. So she just has a big name, and she's a big personality, and there's a big character. And then Mina is more of a bite. You know, it's like it's one, and that's really kind of more, you know, perfect for her. You know, so. And Deacon is just a really dramatic soap name. I mean, you know, that's what I wanted a little bit over the top, but still we're not giving people names like Apple and, you know, random objects, you know, but I didn't want it to be a joke, but I want it to be dramatic. If you're going to lean in, lean in.
Where's Apple?
Yeah. You know, I don't have a character, you know, a basic character. They, you know, like
Meanwhile, Gwyneth Paltrow's like, I think that's a nice one.
Oh, I live for Gwyneth, though. I don't mean to offend Gwyneth. She's a Montecito resident, right? Isn't she?
Right. Yes, she is.
Neighbor?
Yes, we can't trash Gwyneth.
She's gonna come for you with all the goop.
Oh, you know, I wish she would. That would be great publicity for the show.
Does Crystal know that you're a huge Guiding Light fan, Grant?
We did talk about it, I believe.
Like
but
massive Guiding Light. Like
grew up
big.
watching GL. Yeah, that was the family soap.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I remember seeing you. I went to the Guiding Light fan club luncheon as a kid.
Oh my
I went to
God.
Marriott Marquis. Yeah, somewhere those photos live. But anyway,
Peter, what's going
we're all
on?
business today.
Peter, what's going on in your busy schedule? Are you filming some other things, and what's happening?
I am.
Okay.
Booked and busy.
I can't talk about it yet.
Will we know about it in the near future, or you think it'll be a long time before we know?
Could be, yeah. Could be.
Okay. But good.
Yeah, no, very good. Couldn't be happier.
Okay.
I asked if I could talk about it, and
They said
PR
no.
said no. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
And Crystal, Venice, the new season just came out a little bit ago.
Yes.
So
that's February.
you were telling me it took several years to do it again.
Yeah. Yeah. It took about 5 years because of COVID and everything. Yeah. Just getting people together, people being able to fly. It just took a while.
And then did you feel there was more story to tell because you like told the story of the two women and there was still more?
There's always more story to tell.
Right.
There's always story. Life is one big long dramatic story, isn't it? Yeah, no, I have something coming out probably in August that's an extension of what I've been doing with Venice, and then I've been writing. So I just kind of I have a project that I'm working on with somebody at Warner Brothers. She's sort of mentoring me through it, and then I've started a project with my husband. We're writing together. We did The Grove together a gazillion years ago, and we're writing something new.
Awesome. And Mark, you're busy.
Yeah, putting together. I mean, my writing partner and I have things we've been putting together, and then, this industry, you can't put the cart before the horse. You just have to wait and see how things go. There's a couple things I'm waiting to see how things go, but in the meantime, stay educated, stay relaxed, stay flexible.
A couple last things. Candace says, I'm calling you now. Peter is going to do something Superman worthy.
Candace, I love that idea.
Yeah.
I do too.
I love that.
I think that's a great idea.
Candace might have the Shining. She might be able to make it happen by
Candace, can you get
call someone?
I know. Manifest that for Peter, please.
Brenda's saying, I've listened to all 3 episodes. Mina is a Spitfire, right? So you made Mina, and Chelsea, was a big social media an influencer, or how did you find her?
Well, I found her through her work on Vita. I believe it was on Showtime. And oh man, yeah, Mina was a very integral part of the casting process to cast that role correctly. Yeah, and I think Chelsea knocked it out of the park. I mean, there's so much more to come with her. So there's a lot to revisit, but I'm anxious to get the thoughts of the others on the call about working opposite Mina, because she I think verbally attacked all of you.
Of course.
Yeah.
What was it like still being attacked?
I loved it. She has her voice is incredible. It's so raspy and spicy. She's fabulous.
Yeah, and it's funny because I would say we're all still getting to know each other, but what I saw is the real person is almost the antithesis of the person that she is within the drama. But she was coming for the jugular as the character.
Crystal,
she didn't hold back at all. I mean, that's a gift.
Yeah,
it's
a gift
fun
for me. I can tell you.
It's fun to play off people who just go for it. She did amazing.
And Grant, we should tell people M. Ryland's in the show. And
yes,
you want to tell them a little bit, those that don't know.
M. Ryland's on the show opposite Mike Manning from Beyond the Gates. We recorded the show way before, but we were lucky to have him. And M. Ryland is a force. She it's interesting because I don't think she has any scenes except maybe with you, Mark, for the folks on this call. But it's a soap, so there's multiple storylines going on, and she's definitely squaring off with Mina, and she's got her own relationship with her brother. That's not a healthy, great relationship, and they're working business together, and their father left them in a mess when he passed. So there's all different types of dynamics and relationships on the show. But love having M. Ryland. I talk about another very unique voice. She really stands out. You can easily differentiate, and she's very much Bethany Gina Roman Quinn.
Guys, thank you so much for taking some time today so we can kick off Grant's new show, Montecito. You guys have to hear it. If you've not listened to it, run now, sit down, have a listen. There's some really juicy characters in this story, and I think it's really cool and well written. And if you've got Crystal, Peter, Mark, amazing in it. I'm loving it. And congratulations, Grant. And really, really proud. It's great. It's really great.
Thank you for supporting our show. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody. We'll be back next week, next Thursday. I actually have Mike Manning and Brandon Claybone on from Beyond the Gates next week at this slot, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. We'll continue the LGBTQ storyline discussion with them as well. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Have a great night.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Nice to see you all.